It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
Rollerskates are not for riding in the house, and I haven't said a word.
At the beginning of the week, Mr. 12 was the only healthy body in the house.
Right.
And she was so upset that we were going to send her to school. And when I said to her, I said, well, are you well enough to go to school? And she said, well, I have a sore bum.
From falling over all the time.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the founder of happyfamilies.com.au. Welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Final day of the week. Feeling good about that. I'm here with Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie, my wife and mum to our 6 kids. Kylie, every Friday we talk about this I'll do better tomorrow idea. What we've learnt from the week. How we can reflect on the week, be more intentional and mindful as parents so that we can be better parents next week or tomorrow. That's why we call it I'll do better tomorrow. If I was to say it's been a week, how would you respond?
Let's just say I had the best sleep I've had in a very, very long time that first night in our new home.
We've been grateful for the Airbnb, but being back in our bed, our mattress.
Our bed, my pillow.
What's been like
my sheets.
More than 4 months. It's been over 4 months since you actually slept in that bed, and now you've had a whole week of it.
And it feels good, but it hasn't been without its challenges. And moving
house
is hard, and especially when you've got kids.
Especially when those kids get sick the day you move.
And it pours with rain and everything comes into the house soaking wet.
So our I'll do better tomorrow is about reflecting on what we've learnt from our parenting this week and what we might do either better tomorrow, or instead of saying we need to do it better, what we can repeat and replicate because we've done things really well. When you think about the week that was, dealing with a house move, unpacking boxes, setting up a house, having to start all over again with I don't know, buying the groceries and the stuff that we don't have for this house that we needed, and having me travelling and being away, how did you do?
Oh, I sucked. Let's just be real. I sucked. It was a really, really, really hard week, challenging. But I did have one little win, which I'm actually really proud of.
So before you say the win, I want to challenge what you said about how badly you've gone this week. I mean, I know that you've been tired and maybe a little bit snappier than normal because you're trying to get the house clean and the kids are untiding it. But
you know what it really comes down to? Whenever I get cranky, it literally just comes down to unmet expectations. I had an expectation that we were going to move in and you were going to...
And the house was going to be perfect?
Well, no, but we were going to stay at the Airbnb for a few nights while I had the opportunity to make sure everything was in its place before we brought
chaos.
6 or 7 people into the space.
Yeah.
But because everybody got sick, the kids obviously didn't want to be away from me and I needed to kind of check in on them. So they were now sick in my space.
Should also mention they weren't sick with COVID. They've just got a seasonal cold, flu.
While I was trying to create order, there was just chaos everywhere I looked. And so, I didn't do a good job this weekend.
Bit snappier than normal.
I was. But the win was in one little moment. I recognised that I was being really snappy with you specifically. And you walked out of the room calmly, and I realised in that moment that I was being snappy, and I really had no reason to be snappy at you specifically. And so I turned around and I came to find you and I just apologised. And it was
a beautiful apology too.
It was actually your response that really got me thinking, because you actually said to me, I think that's one of the first times you've apologised.
I was just teasing you.
One of us has a really easy time apologising and the other one doesn't. And it doesn't take much to work out who is who. But I just realised that so often when I get caught up in all of the stresses of the day, I can often feel really justified in feeling the way I do. And in that moment, it just made me realise and recognise how much better I can be. So I guess my take home has been a really big wake-up call and recognising that there's probably a lot more times that I could be apologetic that I'm not. And part of that is probably because I'm not necessarily aware, or I feel really justified to be cranky in my unmet expectations. But I'm putting it out there publicly that I'm going to try to be a lot more aware of how I might speak when I'm cranky.
So, first of all, I think that you're really brave for saying what you've said. Secondly, we don't make any claims to being perfect parents. And this week you've carried a heavy load. I've been travelling and you've been trying to establish a home for our family, establish the new family nest. And you've done it under really trying circumstances because the weather's been horrible. We've had kids at home sick. I mean, really, really crook. Me not being around and just that much pressure and stress on you. But I still want to challenge. I don't know that you've been as challenging, as difficult, as bad, if I can use that phrase, as you think you've been. Second thing that I want to highlight is just the power of that expectation versus experience dilemma. You expect something to happen. When it doesn't, your experience is lower than your expectations. Your expectations were too high. It's really confronting, isn't it? It's really hard to hold it together when that happens.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I actually want to ask you a question. You know how you were upset and so I just walked out and got on with things? Does it bother you that I don't get all that caught up in that sort of stuff?
No, I really appreciate it.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. And in that particular moment, it was just instant. You walked away and you acknowledged throughout the afternoon that I had been a bit snappy. But in that moment, you just you took my answer, even though it was so unkind in the moment, and just said, okay, thanks for letting me know. And, kind of went off. And it was just a really big wake-up call.
So I've got this thing that nobody can make me feel angry. No one can make me feel upset. No one can make me feel sad. I get to choose. And I'm always saying that to the kids. The kids hate it. I'm always saying, you can choose. You get to choose. She doesn't make you mad. You get to choose. And I just was wondering whether or not me not getting caught up in it bothered you or not. But I'm glad that you said that. Thanks for sharing. After the break, what Dr. Justin Coulson can do better tomorrow. If you've got a teen, you're likely already worried about alcohol and drug use. As a parent, you want to know, how do we protect them? How do we teach them? How do we know if they're up to something? Pot, Pills and Parenting will equip and empower you to help your tweens and teens navigate one of the most challenging adolescent issues today. Available on the Happy Families webshop.
It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. I'm interested.
Well,
What's
Kylie,
your I'll do better tomorrow?
Before we talk about I'll do better tomorrow, I just remembered you also, just before the kids got ill, just before last week, just before the move into the new house, you took the kids to see a movie. And I feel like we need to just spend 20 seconds and mention the Happy Families movie review. I was not available, but you took how many kids? Three kids?
Yeah, 3 of them.
The 3 little ones to go and see an animated movie called
The Bad Guys.
The Bad Guys.
Baby shark. We need a distraction.
Do I get to improvise?
Fine, please be subtle.
I'm having a baby! Is there a doctor? Or perhaps several security guards that could leave their post and help me?
We were never.
Now, I assumed by the promo that it's actually a takeoff of the books. There's some kids' books called The Bad Guys.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about it really.
No,
so I
neither.
watched the trailer and I liked what I saw on the trailer. But when I told the 12-year-old and the 14-year-old that we were going to go watch it, because it was just pouring with rain, there was nothing else to do, and so I wanted to get them out of the house. They kind of rolled their eyes and were like, I really don't want to go. So I tried to find a couple of friends to take with us, but everyone was busy. And we got to the end of it and I just looked at the kids and they were like, that was way better than we expected. It was just such a good movie. I'm not a movie buff. I actually really just am happy to go and enjoy. I don't have high expectations of anything. It drives you crazy.
Yep.
Because I'm
a bit of a critic.
Very critical when it comes to movies. But what I loved about this movie was here were these bad guys who wanted to be bad, but then they got caught. So they made this plan that they would pretend to be good so they could still be bad. But through the process of pretending to be good, they actually realised that it felt good to make good choices. And in the end, they become
Good guys.
Good.
Bad, good. Don't spoil it. There might be something in parenting, something parenting related there though as well. I mean, we often feel like we're lousy parents, but it's in the effort that we make when we decide to be good. It's the effort and the ongoing challenge, difficulties, but we get better and better over time, and we discover that it feels much better to be good parents than to be parents that aren't as good as we now are, which is why we're doing I'll Do Better Tomorrow. I don't know if I just fluffed that, but we're going to go ahead anyway. So Bad Guys might be worth taking the kids to see this weekend. If
I think there's something for everyone in it.
My I'll Do Better Tomorrow is a really simple one. I have not cracked it yet at the kids riding in the house on their roller skates. That's my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. Full stop, end of story. So recently we bought the kids some roller skates because now we used to live in a house with stairs and on a slopey hill, and there was nowhere that the kids would ever ride bikes or roller skates. That just wasn't going to happen. But now we live in a flat cul-de-sac with a single-story house, and we bought the kids some roller skates, and they've been wearing the roller skates up and down I don't know what our floor is made of. I want to say the lino floor. It's that kind of thing. It's some sort of lino floorboardy thing. And the kids are just skating, holding onto the walls, putting their grubby fingers all over the walls and skating up and down the hallway and into the kitchen and around the dining table and then back down the hallway to their bedrooms. It's driving me insane. Roller skates are not for riding in the house, and I haven't said a word. I'm just watching them learn how to skate, and I love that they're doing it in spite of the fact that I hate that they're doing it.
At the beginning of the week, Mr. 12 was the only healthy body in the house.
Right.
And she was so upset that we were going to send her to school. And when I said to her, I said, well, are you well enough to go to school? And she said, well, I have a sore bum.
From falling over all the time. I'm just waiting for a hole in the wall. I'm waiting for a piece of furniture to be destroyed because
then that'll be the real test, won't it? Will you hold your cool then?
I haven't spat the dummy yet. I've smiled at them. I've said, watch out for my toes, and that's it. So that's my I'll Do Better Tomorrow. It's about staying calm and only sweating the stuff that really matters. And so far, so good, Kylie. So far, so good. The take-home message ultimately is don't let other people's emotions affect you. You're the one who gets to choose how you're feeling. You decide, nobody else. But I think that it's also, if I can extract a take-home message from yours, Kylie, you're probably doing a better job than you think. Don't beat yourself up, because the work that you do, the load that you carry, is amazing. And that's for any parent who's listening to this podcast. I'm sure you're doing so much better than sometimes you think you're doing. And even if you're not, that's okay. You've always got tomorrow. Hence, I'll Do Better Tomorrow. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And if you'd like more info about making your family happier, please visit us at happyfamilies.com.au. Have a great weekend.